you? I'll let you know what I know. Okay.
We have some dedicated folks here.
In the heat?
Yeah.
Just Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I promise I will keep this microphone on for those of you who are watching on the internet. I apologize last week. I turned it off and left it off. people here didn't realize it, but I got scolded at home, so just want you to know. Anyway, it's great to see you all here on this Friday night, and I was trying to figure out if it was easier to come when it's 104 degrees in the shade or when there's 12 inches of snow on the ground. Which would you prefer? Right now, I prefer the snow. I would take 12 inches of snow, but climate change being what it is, if we wait a little bit, it might happen. Hope not. It is delightful to see you here. I'm Rabbi Shook. I'm Rabbi Emeritus of the congregation. I'm taking over for these Friday nights in July, while Rabbi Fader and Rabbi Alper enjoy a month away from the duties of the congregation. I hope they're having a great month away from the duties of the congregation. Sometimes you can't always get away from the congregation, but we hope they're having a good time and getting rest and relaxation and getting refreshed. Back in the day when I was working throughout the entire year, the reason why I like to have the month of July off was because I needed that month to get new material for the August, September, October, and so on the rest of the year. I was running out of stuff to say, and being on the pulpit, I have to say, being on the pulpit for these 5 Friday nights in July is a strain on my intellect, I have to think. Anyway, Shabbat Shalom to you all. We'll start off with Shabbat Shalom, and our service will continue after that.
Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.
I invite you to turn to page 3 in your prayer books for the blessing, the lighting of the Shabbat candles, and I am delighted to invite Carol Shook to come forward and bless the Shabbat candles. Page 3.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness remind us of the generations of Israel who have kindled lights, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle lights. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the lights of Shabbat.
Amen.
Amen.
I can do that because of COVID. I'm allowed. We're very familiar. Please join me in the Kaddish. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. And the blessing over bread. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together, as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai,
Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Hine ma tovu manahim, shevet achim gam yachad, Hine ma tovu ma na'im, shevet achim gam yachad. Again. Hine ma tovu ma na'im, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu ma na'im, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu ma na'im, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu ma na'im, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu ma na'im, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tovu ma na'im, shevet achim gam yachad.
On page 7, we read together. Where has this week vanished? Is it lost forever? Will I ever recover anything from it? The joy of life, the unexpected victory, the realized hope, the task accomplished. Will I ever be able to banish the memory of pain, the sting of defeat, the heaviness of boredom? On this day, let me keep open for a while what must drift away. On this day, let me be free of the burden that must return. On this day, Shabbat abide. Help me to withdraw for a while from the fight of time. Contain the retreat of the hours and days from the grasp of frantic life. Let me learn to pause, if only for this day. Let me find peace on this day. Let me enter into a quiet world this day. On this day, Shabbat abide. We turn to page 28 and we rise for the call to worship.
Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Barechu et Adonai hamevorach, Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam vaed. Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tsevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, hama'ariv aravim. We continue with Shema on page 34.
Shema Yisrael
Adonai Eloheinu,
Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu,
Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Please be seated. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol meodecha ve'hayu hadivarim ha'ele asher Anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta b'am v'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha v'aderech u'v'shachpecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam le'od al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kidoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem. Page 38. All this we hold to be true and trustworthy for us. You alone are our God, and we are Israel, your people. You are our sovereign and Savior who delivers us from oppressors' hands and saves us from the tyrant's fists. You work wonders without number, marvels beyond count. You give us life and steady our footsteps. You perform miracles for us before Pharaoh, signs and wonders in the land of the Egyptians. You led your people Israel out from their midst to freedom for all time. When your children witnessed your dominance, they praised your name in gratitude, and they accepted your sovereignty. Moses, Miriam, and all Israel sang to you together, lifting their voices joyously.
Micha mocha ba'elim Adonai. Micha mocha neta b'kodesh. Nora Tehilot Oseh Feleh Nora Tehilot Oseh Feleh Micha mocha ba'elim Adonai. Micha mocha neta b'kodesh. Nora Tehilot Oseh Feleh Nora Tehilot Oseh Feleh.
Page 42. Grant, O God, that we may lie down in peace and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel, for your name's sake be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and our coming to life and peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim.
Hashkivenu לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu lishalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu lishalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim.
Prayer invites God's presence to suffuse our spirits, God's will to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city. But prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, rebuild a weakened will. We turn to Tefillah, the prayer, on page 46, and we rise. Adonai sifatai tifta ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu v'Imoteinu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Velohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Velohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'koneh HaKol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, Umevii Geulah Livnei B'neihem, Leman Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Hoser Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Abraham, V'Ezrat Sarah. Page 50. You are forever mighty, Adonai. You give life to all. You sustain life through love, giving life to all. Through the great compassion and supporting the falling, healing the sick, freeing the captive, keeping faith with those who sleep in the dust. Who is like you, source of almighty acts? Who resembles you, a sovereign who takes and gives life, causing deliverance to spring up, and faithfully giving light to all? Blessed are you, Adonai, who gives life to all. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechaye Hakol. Atah kadosh, v'shimcha kadosh, ukdoshim b'chol yom yahalalucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el Hakadosh. You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise your name every day. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Please be seated. We continue on page 61. Page 61, and we read together. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace. and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. Make contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael, bashalom.
Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Sim shalom, sim shalom, sim shalom, tova uvracha.
Sim shalom,
sim shalom, sim shalom, sim shalom, tova uvracha.
Sim
Sim
shalom,
Sim shalom.
We're at that time in our service when we invite you here in the sanctuary to say names of loved ones who are in need of a healing prayer, a healing of body and soul, and we invite you to call out their names as you do so and as we go through the congregation. And we had Jeffrey Korn, Selma Muhammad, and Lisi Weinstein. You can find Misha Berach on page 253 in your prayer books. Page 253, a prayer for healing.
Misha Berach Avotenu Mikor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishe Berach Imotenu Mikol HaBracha Le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. Shalom Bimroma. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'imru amen. Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. 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 Ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael.
As always, thank you, Rob Aronson. Beautiful. Okay, am I on? Right? You can hear me? Can you hear me out there? We got somebody that listens to Bible study on Saturday morning from Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. Raise your hands if you know where Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan is. Okay. It's where Lake Superior meets Lake Huron. That's okay, and it's in Canada. So, okay. So, it occurred to me, because there's a certificate sitting on my desk, that it's now been 50 years since I was ordained a rabbi. June of 1972, I almost said 1772. June of 19, it feels like 1772. June of 1972, on a day that was almost this hot in Cincinnati, I was ordained a rabbi. And that ordination came after 5 years of study. And the first 2 years, you were warned several times on several different occasions that you had to pass an exam, the Bachelor of Hebrew Letters degree exam, and if you didn't pass that exam, you were asked to leave the college. A little pressure, okay? But there was an exam at the end of the first year that was almost as pressure-filled. And then you got to the third year, you were admitted to the rabbinic program. And you might have even had a bi-weekly congregation or a high holiday congregation, a place to go on the weekends, thanks to Delta Airline and all those small Jewish communities in the South. You got to go to those communities and serve them as their rabbi. And you had no clue what you were doing. These are the most tolerant human beings on the planet, because every year they got a new rabbi. Or every other year they got a new rabbi. And they put up with us, and they allowed us to make mistakes, even more egregious than turning off the microphone. They allowed us to make mistakes. They were wonderful people. And every weekend was a new adventure to be with them. And if we had 1 year or 2 years in that experience, some of us went to Israel for a year as part of that rabbinic training. That's when I worked on writing my rabbinic thesis. And you come back and you do your senior year or your junior and senior, well, fourth and fifth year of rabbinical school. They didn't call them junior and senior, thank God. And at the end of those 5 years, there's a ceremony of ordination, and all your relatives that can travel show up. And I remember we had a reception in our apartment, and all of my relatives were wearing white shoes because it was summer. The men and the women. And there was a professor of Eastern European history of the University of Cincinnati, and he lived across the hall, and of course he was invited to the celebration. And he pulls me over to the side. He says, tell me, what's the significance of white shoes in Jewish tradition? And thank God he didn't ask me what's the tradition of polyester suits in Jewish tradition. That was another one. So after 5 years, there's ordination. And we go out into the world. Now, I give you all of this as a prelim, as preparation for my anger. Can we talk? All right? There's always some social situation in the last 5 years when somebody in the crowd comes up to me. You're a rabbi, right? Yes. You know, I performed a wedding ceremony last week, and I'm just a plumber, or a carpenter, or a baker, or a salesman, or whatever it was. Not a rabbi. I got myself certified to officiate at weddings online, or Weddings Are Us, or whatever the name of the website was. And I had a terrific time performing the ceremony of that wedding. Now, what am I supposed to say to this guy? Thousands of hours of education, hundreds of days of dealing with situations within the Jewish community. Am I supposed to be happy for him? Is my response to the fact that he has now discounted my entire rabbinic education into an online click certifying that he is now certified by the state of Yechupetz, Tennessee, to certify weddings? Am I supposed to be happy? And what is going on here? If you read the Sunday New York Times, which is a religion with me, no, it's not. If you read the Sunday New York Times, I always go to the wedding section, the wedding announcement section. It's no longer any fun anymore. Because I used to look to see if colleagues of mine were listed in the New York Times as having performed weddings in New York. Now everybody has got his ministry degree online, or Uncle Harry is performing the wedding ceremony, or a friend of the bride, or a friend of the groom, or 6 friends of the bride and groom are conducting a joint group ceremony of whatever it is. Okay. It's like my entire career. For what? For what all this education? And what does it mean, this do-it-yourself rabbinics? That this is what we do. And I have to say, we need to pay careful attention to this. This is not some passing fancy. And the virus has created a dynamic in a lot of different areas of our lives that we will see that whatever changes we adapted to because we were dealing with this thing, 50% of those changes are going to stay with us. We're going to still do online. Thank God. This is great. It expands our audience. It brings people into the synagogue that would not have the opportunity to be in the synagogue. Of course, we don't know how good their internet service is, but we can't tell. But what is this do-it-yourself stuff, and is it good for what we're about? And part of me wants to say that it's the rabbi's fault. It's always the rabbi's fault. But part of it wants to say it's the rabbi's fault because somehow we have not distinguished what it is that makes us rabbis as opposed to someone who can click on Google and get the answer to a question. If you read any of the books, like My Name is Asher Lev, or those books by Chaim Potok and others, there was always a character in the book that was described as so brilliant that you could put a pin in the page of the Talmud and he could tell you what letters and what words that pin hit. That's how brilliant they were. And the role of a rabbi, especially a teaching rabbi, was to be the person who could be, pardon the expression, the version of Google that would get you the answer you needed about Jewish tradition from the vast quantity of Jewish tradition. volume after volume of Talmud and Midrash and Shulchan Aruch and all the other texts. Now it's reduced to a CD-ROM. Now it's a disc. Now we don't even have to do the disc. I used to have a whole set of discs. I can throw out the discs now. No, I won't. You don't throw things out that have the word name of God in them. Okay, so. But I spent a fortune on those discs, and now 20 minutes later, they're obsolete. I can just go online. I can download the stuff. What do you need a rabbi for? You want to find out what Judaism says about intermarriage? Type in intermarriage. And you can type in the version of Judaism you want to hear from. What I love, this is a side comment, what I love is I would have to warn my students at St. Louis University when they were doing term papers. If they were doing term papers on Judaism, they had to be very careful. They had to be careful because there were stealth sites out there that were waiting for Jews to ask a question about Judaism so they could jump in with their version of Christianity. And they had very Jewish web names, so you wouldn't know that you were going into one of these places. So I said, if you have any doubt, bring me the web name and I'll check it out for you, but that's not where you want to do your research. American Jewish Archives, that's fine. Okay? American Jesus Archives, I'm not so sure about. It's just somewhere along the way. We are now in a process of change and adaptation, trying to figure out how to take a 4,500-year religious tradition and make it work in the digital age. And at the very moment where we want to make contact with people, to communicate with them, to put our arms around them, to say being Jewish is part of being the Jewish community, we had a disaster when we couldn't be community. The closest we could be community was to be a community online. Or you do a life cycle event and you had to stay at the far corners of the life cycle event because you didn't want to contaminate anybody or get anybody sick. Or my favorite, one of the cemeteries had an off-duty police officer who was checking people's names as they came into the cemetery. You had to be on the guest list. Strange things that happened. But this do-it-yourself stuff is highlighting the fact that my colleagues and I need to figure out what it is that we bring to the Jewish table. And it's not something that's going to happen in a day or a week or a month or a year. It needs thought and it needs time, and we need to give great care to that. We need to look at the people who are online and in our communities, in our congregations, in our buildings, and so on, and ask them what it is that they feel we can provide them to enhance their Jewish identity, to help them be Jewish. You can't get it online. Oh, you can get the permission to marry somebody. I know how to end that, by the way. Make you responsible for the weddings you perform. This marriage fails, your fault. You're on the hook. 20% of the cost of the divorce is going to go, on the rabbi. Oh, God forbid. We would never do that. And it's really strange. We have to figure it out. We have to take the time and figure it out. One thing is for sure. People are enthusiastic about learning this stuff because they want to do it. So let's provide them an opportunity to be Jewish and to do rabbinic things without discounting or deprecating what it is to study to become a rabbi in the community. Anyway, that's my message for today. You can give next week's sermon. You're all deputized. You're all assigned. And you can all email me what your best ideas are. After 4 weeks, I'm burned out. So next week, God only knows what's going to happen next week, okay? Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Our service continues now on page 284, and we rise for the Aleinu. Excuse me, 282.
Aleinu l'shabeach le'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Please be seated. Page 285. Let the time not be distant, O God, when all shall turn to you in love, when corruption and evil shall give way to integrity and goodness, when superstition shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye. O may all created in your image become one in spirit and one in friendship, forever united in your service. Then shall your realm be established on earth, and the word of your prophet fulfilled. Adonai will reign forever and ever. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yeh Adonai echad u'shemo Our meditation before Kaddish, the memorial prayer, is found on page 291. It is hard to sing of oneness when the world is not complete, when those who once brought wholeness to our life have gone, and naught but memory can fill the emptiness their passing leaves behind. But memory can tell us only what we were in company with those we loved. It cannot help us find what each of us alone must now become. Yet no one is really alone. Those who live no more echo still within our thoughts and words, and what they did is part of what we have become. We do best homage to our dead when we live our lives more fully, even in the shadow of our loss. For each of our lives is worth the life of the whole world, and each one is the breath of the ultimate one. In affirming the one, we affirm the worth of each one whose life now ended brought us closer to the source of life, in whose unity no one is alone, and every life finds purpose. On this Shabbat, we mention the names of those taken from us in recent days, and our hearts go out to their families as we recall their names in love. Jay Freudenberg, John Freudenberg, Burton Garland Sr., Dorothy Sue Sanderson. And in love and respect, we mention the names of those whose yahrzeits, the anniversary of whose passing, occur on this Shabbat, and whose names have been inscribed in the archives of our congregation or on the Wall of Honor for perpetual memorial. Leo Alberstein, Dr. Renee Albert, Joseph M. Berger III, Marvin Bernstein, Max Bernstein, Jeannie Bloom, Albert Blumberg, Jack Lewis Bridge, Faye Brockman, Jake Brockman, Louis M. Ettman, Michael Freeman, Charles Fremder Sr., Lynn Garland, Marvin Gelber, Louis Gillerman, Harry Goldberg, John A. Isaacs Sr., Samuel A. Jacobs, Abraham Katz, Sidney Harold Katz, Bonnie Lander, Milton Marcus, David May, Sophia Myers, Jerome Molaski, Robert Palin, Melvin Rabushka, Julian Rainey, Bess Rosentrader, Racy Schonbrunn, Edna Reese Schukat, Tilly Kaplan Schultz, Ruth Schwartz, Albert B. Schweitzer, Benjamin M. Seidler, Colonel Moses Schoenberg, Charles I. Silver, Earl Richard Silver, Jane Sue Silver, Ruth Silverman, Rita F. Silversmith, Marion Newman Smith, Libby Wilkins Stone, Sandra Troy, Leon E. Weinstein, Jules J. Wishnuff, Robert Wolfe, together with those whom we name in our hearts. Turning to page 294, we stand for words of Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba, Be'alma divra chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chaye echon v'yomechon, u'v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kari v'imru, Amen. Yehei shmei Rabba mevorach, le'olam melalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpo'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. Vitadar, vitale, vitalal, shmei dekudsha barichu. Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Da'amiran bi'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shmaya. V'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav. Huyaseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. V'imru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and give comfort to all who are bereaved. And we say together, Amen.
Oseh shalom bimroma, uyaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'imeru. Amen. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Sing unto God, all the earth, the new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God, and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Shiru l'Adonai, Shiru, Shiru l'Adonai. I will sing unto God a new song.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
And I just turned off my microphone.
That was hilarious. Deputized all of us. Oh, wait till Amy hears that one.
Whatever. You gonna tell her?
Maybe.
Maybe, all right.
Tune in.
If being a rabbi doesn't work out for you, okay. I just think it's a day job. Or night job.
My pleasure. Shabbat shalom.
Right.